Friends, welcome to the ELKSHAPE podcast. Sitting down with Cory Miller. We've done them in the past, but not in person.
Not in person.
Person's way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah.
You look amazing on camera. Like, have you ever thought about acting?
Maybe.
Really? Have you ever acted or been on any TV shows or sets?
I did. There's just probably one that nobody's really heard of, Yellowstone.
Like a documentary?
No, it's some TV show.
Oh, yeah, like Cowboys
Kevin,
and stuff?
Yeah, Cowboys and stuff. And
Costner?
yeah, Kevin. I think that guy's in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I might have seen a teaser of that or something. Or actually, I might have watched every episode, and I'm absolutely insanely mad that I haven't had a show to watch in over a year.
Yeah. So.
And they left it at such a pivotal point.
Yep.
And Jamie's an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody loves that show, man.
Yeah, it was fun. So I did a little bit of stuff on season 5, and then I was able to go do a little bit more for this coming season. I don't think I got really any kind of camera time. It's a lot of it as an extra is just kind of luck of the draw. You know, there'll be a bunch of people, and I'm like, hey, you go sit there, or and so many times I'm like, oh, I'm probably in a pretty good spot, I can see the cameras, and all of a sudden the guy gets in the camera, and it can be something as simple as the color shirt that you have is popping, just taking attention, and so they'll nope, you replace it with this other color guy shirt, or it could be your hat. So you just never know what they're looking for, and sometimes you're in it, sometimes you're not. But it's interesting to see how it's done.
Yeah, that's the part Jeff and I were talking, because we drove down there. We're taking my son to Lake Como.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Which is not that far from Darby.
Nope.
And we wanted to go swimming. And we had done a podcast at Montana Knife Company, and I wanted to find a really cool lake. And I'd been there before, and I took we just want to go swimming. And when we drove through Darby, I was like, oh, dude. And this is like literally last week.
Yep,
I'm
I was
like,
out there.
Holy crap. They are filming so hard in the paint right now. There was 3 different sets going on.
Well, it looks like 3 different sets, but it's not.
Okay.
So you have
like 3 parking lots full.
Yes. So
miles apart.
Yeah, you had just in Darby, you have the main parking lot for all the extras, and that's where we go and sign in and do our paperwork and costume and do everything. And then outside of Darby, past the ranch, is an old, I think it's an old lumber mill, and that's where they have all their trucks and their trailers, and then the cast and the crew, they all park there. If there's not a lot of extras, we'll kind of be there, or they'll be there. I don't know why it's not like I own anything there, but so they'll park there, and they have the costumes and stuff there, and makeup and all the fun stuff, and then everything was being filmed. That I was on set for was at the ranch, but there's different. I've done some stuff that was like in town and Hamilton and stuff, so they're in all different locations.
Really?
And stuff. It's just, like I say, it's an organized chaos that is like unbelievable on how many people are involved, and everybody is doing something without. It's kind of, I guess it's hard because I don't have the earpieces, but it looks like they're doing stuff without being told. Like they know exactly what's going to do next and where everything needs to be, all the camera work, it's just amazing. So if you call Black Eagle as a dealer or a consumer, 9 times out of 10, I'm picking up the phone. If you call Darton, 9 times out of 10, I'm picking up the phone. So yeah, it can be a guy asking questions about an arrow choice to anything, from a dealer, placing an order, paying an invoice, doing a bunch of stuff. So it's fun though. It keeps me busy.
2 completely different brands, and you're answering questions about
three brands. So we do Conquest stabilizers also.
Okay, so 3 brands, consumers and dealers. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Yeah. So you got to know your stuff.
Yeah.
And you got to be nice on the phone.
Got to be nice on the phone.
Okay. God bless you. And then on top of all that, there's still, you have, like you said, you're on the road, like going to dealer because you were a dealer. You owned a bow shop for how many years?
I think it's 15, 16, somewhere in there. It was a long time. Yeah.
That shop's XXX still in business?
Nope. Went out. So
you sold it?
I sold it, and I think it made it a year and a half maybe.
That doesn't surprise me. Generally, you, like a guy like you would be the heartbeat of the business.
Yeah, and that was when I had it, because I was in a one stoplight town in the middle of kind of out into nothing. But I had customers that would drive 3-4 hours, you know,
that's the key.
and they're all like, "Oh, you should open up a shop here." And I'm like, "Well, it's not the same if I'm not there. Just because the name on the building says XYZ doesn't mean,
Yeah.
So.
How many pro shops do you service right now?
I don't even know the number. But I cover all of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. I had South Dakota, North Dakota, but we did a rep group on the east side.
Okay.
We went through a couple different reps, and so now we're going through a rep group on the east side.
That's a lot of shops that you just named.
Yeah. Well, as far as a lot of, there's the hardest part is there's just a lot of real estate in between the shops.
Yeah. I mean, it's just.
So I see one dealer and then I could drive, 3 hours to another dealer.
Do you have a company truck?
No.
Do you get reimbursed by the mile?
No. I get taken care of.
I would. You need like a Tesla or something, or like
what
a
I
hybrid.
want, and Randy just doesn't think doesn't agree with it. I haven't sold. I'm not a good salesman yet, I guess.
Okay.
Because
okay.
what I want is a Sprinter van.
Oh hell
yes.
Then
because I sleep in hotels, and it sucks for me because I feel like I'm wasting money.
You are, because you need a Sprinter van.
And I get into a hotel at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm back on the road at 7 in the morning. If I'm lucky, I get to a hotel at 11 o'clock at night, and then I can wake up and then get out at 9 or 10 to go see that dealer. But a lot of times I'm still moving from area to area. And it just sucks sleeping in a different bed, different sheets, different pillows, bathrooms on different sides of the room, wake up in the middle of the night not knowing which direction. So yeah, sleeping in my own bed in the back of a van would be.
My buddy Tyler, I don't know, just went for it. He bought a Sprinter van. It's a Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Tricked it out. Bought it used in Oregon. And he's brought on a few hunts. And so, I think it was last year I joined him in Idaho for the last 2 days of season. It was really cold. And I was sleeping in a teepee tent. And I remember I was in Utah and it was nice. And then as soon as I got to Idaho, I was like, oh, damn, it's way colder up here. And then, we'd be making dinner and I'd be like, hey, can I eat my dinner in your van? And he's got the bucket seats that swivel. So I'd sit, and then in the mornings in, dark 30, I'd knock on the door and he'd have hot coffee, and I'd get out of my teepee and go straight into his Sprinter van, swivel down, coffee. It worked. He almost killed a bull, and I killed a bull just in 3 days with that Sprinter van life, and I was sold immediately.
Yeah.
And he's got rugged tires on it.
My thought is the van is still going to be worth money. The hotel's one and done. You're gone. You spent money, and you'll never get that money back. And yeah, you can do the tax write-off, but you can still write off the payments of the van, and then get so many miles and turn around and sell it. You're really not losing any money. Yeah. I just feel like it. But I understand it's a lot of money, and there's more. There's more. Yeah, and then that's the whole other thing is then does that become a legal liability of this Black Eagle crashing into somebody, or so.
Oh man, many companies have done it. I think you'd be right. Okay, so
I just need to work on that sales pitch a little bit
for
better.
Your particular area. Yeah, there's just
because there's so much dirt between it, and then then going to the TAC events or going to any other shows and stuff. I think it makes sense.
Let me say a town. You name the closest shop.
Oh.
This is tough, but Let's start with low-hanging fruit. Is there anything in the Yakima area?
Grizzly archery.
How about the Tri-Cities area?
Yes, and I'm trying to. What is that?
Richmond. There's
Richland. There's
Kennewick.
Yeah, it's that big
Pasco.
They kind of have everything. It's almost like
It's not a Shields.
No.
Okay. Do you guys sell your stuff to Shields?
We don't do anything with the box
No
stores.
box stores. That's cool. What about the Lewiston, Clarkston area?
I got a new Hell's Canyon archery shop
that's cool.
that opened up.
How's
there.
the Portland?
Portland, I got G4, Archers of Field, Archery World, Broken Arrow.
Oh damn!
And then you get into the Longview, do a little bit of stuff with Bob's, and then that's all my stomping grounds from where I grew up.
You met with Spokane Valley Archery today, a
Yep.
guy named Josh Jones.
Yep.
It's got to be a pain in the ass. I've seen him in real life. How was that? Like, what does that look like? You
Oh,
just show him
dude.
the new products?
Yeah, and
Answer any
he's never
questions?
happy. He thinks everything's wrong, and no, he's doing a great job for archery, for the sport, for dealers. He's putting product in front of thousands of people's eyeballs, and it helps every shop. It's helping. That was one thing with my shop. I was a very small shop. I've known Josh, for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I did a lot what Josh does, what he does digitally, I did, in my shop.
In
I
real
had
life.
a lot of educational stuff and customer service that I did in the shop. I didn't really do a whole lot of digital stuff. The whole thing of, a short bow doesn't shoot. And this all stems from back in the day.
Right.
And when we used to have 45-inch bows, 44-inch axle bows, and we say, hey, let's make a shorter bow. Well, what they do, they cut the riser down. And so you had this little teeny handle with 19-inch limbs on it. It lost all the stability. So, yes, would it shoot? Yes, but would it aim? No. It was so quickly aimed, and so definitely the group sacrificed so everybody said, oh, a short bow just doesn't shoot. Well, nowadays, the limbs are parallel down. The risers are
Yeah, dude.
ginormous. So
Yeah.
you've got this big hunk of aluminum that is so stable, that balanced in the hand, that it's hard to move it around. So it aims good.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with brace heights, honestly.
Yeah.
You can't, it's not like the day of looking at specs and saying, oh, this bow's going to shoot. Because there's bows with a short brace height that actually have a very neutral riser. So we used to bring the riser to the string, and now we're bringing the string to the riser.
Yep.
We're putting a shorter limb, bringing everything closer. So now the bow still points very well. It's not a torquey, deflexed riser or reflex riser.
Reflex, yeah.
We're more neutral or deflexed risers nowadays. So
Makes sense. And then did you ever think you would be in business for archery like your whole life? I mean,
no.
yeah. What did you think you were going to do? Besides being
I
an
went
actor
to
for
I went to
Yellowstone?
I went to school for drafting architectural
Really?
stuff.
Okay.
I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'd shot archery beforehand. I never was really tremendously serious about it. I bow hunted and stuff, and then I went to school. And I realized when I was at school, like, I don't want to sit at a desk, and I don't want to draw pen and paper. Just wasn't my passion of something to go do. End up getting married and shooting competition archery, and then meeting Dustin, was a new archer, and so I kind of showed him some stuff and kind of helped coach him along, and we started become friends. And then he's like, we should open up an archery shop. And I'm like, I don't know anything about business or archery. And he goes, well, my parents do. We own a couple different businesses, and like, let's do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Next thing I know, I'm owning an archery shop, and then went to work for PSE Archery, and then did that for 2 years, and then they went a different direction for their sales team, revamped the whole system, and it was kind of a weird deal, because me and Randy had dealt with each other, as customers, and built a great relationship of friendship. And when I was working for PSE, he had called me out of the blue and says, hey, before I go public, I want to let you know I bought Darton. And I'm like, I'm not sure why you're telling me.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have been offended to read it,
Yeah.
And the point being, not like, I don't,
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, man, okay. I said, well, cool. What are you going to do? And he says, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what are you going to have? He goes, I don't know. But I bought it, and we're going to make a go of it. And I'm like, so, well, rumors are, we're going a different direction, and I don't know if I'm going to have a job. And he says, well, don't worry, you'll work for me. And literally 2 weeks to that day, got a phone call and says, we're moving to a different direction. And from that day on, I was working for Randy.
Yeah.
And just a blessing. Been a great transition. Never been happier.
What's the takeaway for the listeners on that, just as far as fostering relationships and maintaining them for...
Yeah, I mean, things happen for a reason, even though, sometimes you think there's something negative happening, but there's probably a reason why those things are happening. But yeah, relationships are everything. And kind of going back into that, like I owned an archery shop, and I had great relationships with all my shops around me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I thought down the line. It was just, that's just my nature of a person. Like I didn't want to get into this argument of customers going, well, this archery shop says this about you. And then, every time a customer would come in and say, XYZ shop, really screwed my bow up. And I'm like, really? Well, that sucks, because so-and-so is a really good friend of mine. Maybe you might have caught him on a bad day, but that's okay. Let's see if we can get you figured out. I'd squash that stuff. I didn't want to hear any drama. I didn't want to get involved with that.
God bless you.
And then when I transitioned into being a sales rep, now I'm repping and coming to see all these people, which paid off huge for me, because we were friends. We weren't enemies. And so that made my job a lot easier. But the thought process of, like, you never know where things are leading, of being a 13-year-old kid asking for a bow for Christmas, to find out this is how I make a living.
I think that's really impactful. I know we weren't going to really talk about that, but just the fact that you maintained, you could have talked shit. You know what an insecure shop owner would have done? Oh, yeah, those guys suck. They always do.
And it's unfortunate, because I still see it in the industry. And I have to deal with it, and I feel like I'm sometimes a babysitter with people.
I see it in our industry, but I'm not in the shop owner stuff. I'm just talking more like hunters as a whole.
Well, and that's, hunters as a whole, and that's a whole nother thing. When somebody was asking me something about, like shot placements or shot distance, or and I'm like, or equipment, crossbows versus compound. I'm like, irritates me, because I come from Oregon and Washington, where hunters fought against hunters, and Washington, as you know, has lost bear, has lost cougar, has lost hounds, has lost trapping, baiting. They've lost all these things because hunters are fighting against each other. Nobody is being united. They don't look at it. Just irritates me. So I don't care what you choose to do. And that's that way in life in general about other things. Let people do what they want to do, as long as it's legal and it doesn't affect me. And I've never been affected by somebody with a crossbow, somebody with a recurve. Their equipment has never dictated whether or not I'm successful hunting or not.
I got nothing. The end.
And so, we need to be, we're at attack enough that we don't need to be attacking ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I've been hounding this subject. I'm pounding it like a dead horse all year long. And I feel like I'm getting nowhere, and I'm getting very discouraged, not encouraged. But I'm not, I shouldn't show people that I get discouraged, because that's not what I need to be. I need to be like, nope, we're still going to charge with United, not divided, in 24. But here's the deal, man. Like, I have to be kind of a libertarian when it comes to hunting. Like, if you're not breaking the law, if it's legal, and you're not hurting yourself or hurting somebody else, cool, you're a hunter. I'm a hunter. Let's agree on that part, and everything else will fall in line. Yeah. Because there's so many people that aren't really anti-hunting. They're just indifferent, and they're the voting majority that could be swayed. Mm-hmm. So if they see a bunch of hunting a-holes cutting each other's throats, they might side with the opposing party of hunters. Yeah.
Well, and I don't think that the states, they all know that they can't outlaw hunting. I think they know that's a battle that they're probably not going to win.
Sure. And
they're going to go at it in different ways. They're going to introduce more predators. They're going to deplete the amount of animals. They're going to get, hunters divided and fight amongst each other. And at some point, you're going to say, it's just not worth it anymore. And you're going to quit. And what they want is you to quit hunting, because they know they can't stop it.
Yeah, no, and they're doing, like, it's honestly not mad. I'm almost like tip my hat to them, because like they're executing it to perfection. Mm-hmm.
And we're falling for it as far as, like I say, not being able to work together. And granted, if there's certain things that we as sportsmen don't feel is right, then you go through the proper channels. Yeah. You don't belittle somebody for that. I mean, you don't know everybody's situation, and the moral things with folks. I mean, there's umpteen reasons why we hunt, and I think it's a deeper connection of certain things than putting meat on the table.
Certainly.
So you've got to find those reasons why you do what you do.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever vocalized why you hunt?
I might have. For me, like I do tell people especially when I have some new guys and they're like, oh, they're really emphasis on killing an animal, and I'm like, what is it, 14% success?
That seems a little high, to be honest. Yeah.
12%.
Yeah.
So your odds are against you.
Yeah.
You better figure out something more important than that. For me, it's standing on a ridge where 95% of the people will never stand. I'll see a sunset or a sunrise that nobody else is seeing. I get to hear, elk bugle. I get to be at 8,000 to 10,000 feet with a thunderstorm and the lightning and the static. You can feel it. You can hear it sizzling, the hair standing up. It's not the smartest thing, but it's like, holy crap, this is cool.
Yeah.
Because who else is witnessing this?
Yeah.
The bonus is, hopefully we kill one and, we can put some meat on the table. And we do well at that. And I think a lot of that is because I have access of time. And I think time is probably one of the most important things. The average guy who doesn't mean he's not a good hunter. He just doesn't have time. He's got wife and he's got kids. He's got umpteen other obligations. He may only have 1 week's vacation. If I had to hunt 5 to 7 days out of the year, I'd probably be killing elk every 3 to 5 years.
That's really good. Like, this podcast is going to be coming out probably the beginning of September. So I think it's really important as guys listen to maybe this episode on the way.
Don't get discouraged
on
about
the way to their camp.
Yeah, why? Really sit down and cherish the other things that are probably more important.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in a location while on a hunt, and I'm like, there is no other reason other than hunting that I would ever have stepped foot in this unbelievably unremarkable location on planet Earth. I would have never been there.
Yeah.
Not camping, not hiking, not looking for minerals or whatever people do. Hunting brought me here to this place on planet Earth. I would have never seen it. And for that, I'm forever grateful. That's one of the biggest allures for me.
Yeah.
Well
And it is a good community of people. Usually we're all the same kind of right-minded thinking of our morals and our values of our life. I think most hunters are that way.
I agree. I do. And I try to look at the good. I know there's always bad apples. There's bad actors. People say that. But, I think it's, to be honest with you, Cory, it's actually not as hard as you think to be a little more tolerable to other hunters, other styles of hunting, other medias of elk hunting, archery hunting, rifle hunting, you name it. There's lots of forms of media. And people call guys like me an influencer. I hate that word. I despise it. We didn't call TV commercials when I was growing up. TV commercials weren't influencing segments. They're just commercials and media and TV, and it doesn't really matter how it's changed digitally. It's all media, and you have the freedom to consume whatever media that whets your appetite. So some people don't like maybe my media. That's cool. You can find the media that you do like and enjoy it. But I've never been in an era where it's so easy to consume media or content, as the kids call it.
Yeah.
So you can almost like dial in exactly what it is you want to see, which has got, honestly, you could be in an echo chamber. You got to be careful. You only see what you want to see, and you might miss other perspectives. But my point of all this is that, like, I guess I'm getting back to the point that nothing's really changed. Like, you call it social media, you call it whatever, digital. It's still media. It's been around forever. Radio has had ads. TV has had ads. YouTube has ads. Instagram has ads. Facebook has ads. There will always be ads. Ads are media. I have zero time to consume content, to be honest with you. When I watch, like, I'll give you an example. Like, if I'm going to watch TV at night with my wife, it'll be after the kids have been gone to bed. So I'm literally living on borrowed time. I'm going to like pass out anyway. So I think maybe 20, 30 minutes until I'm going to fall asleep. I'm that tired. So I will watch the news if I want to be depressed. I will watch Yellowstone if they ever come out with the damn episode. Maybe a Netflix show. If I do go on YouTube, it'll be to watch news or CrossFit type fitness stuff. It will have nothing. I will not watch hunting or any of that kind of stuff.
See, I find myself, and it's not because I think the big difference for me is like I'm not trying to consume information.
You want entertainment, maybe?
No, I want to see elk, and I want to see terrain.
Okay.
I don't care who the people are.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and then, just because that it's not taken away from any of that. It's just like I said, I'm not there to consume information because I already feel like I have
That's awesome.
the information that I want. I just want to see some elk, and I want to see
some country.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
I do wish that some people would watch their stuff before they publish it.
Like me, when you messaged me maybe a year or two ago, and you're like, "Hey,
No.
This happened." You tell everybody this happened. You're like, "Oh, I know exactly where you were when you." And I was like, because I actually really try not to show landscapes.
Yeah, no, it's not that.
But you freaking nailed it, and I was like,
I did that. I did that to another guy.
I hate you.
And I said, hey, and I've never hunted this spot.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, thanks, right, whatever. And so then I took a screenshot of Google Earth, and I said, you were standing right here. And I did it to 2 of his different videos at 2 different years. And he was like, wow.
Did he not like stop in his tracks?
He was like, wow, okay, thanks. But no, what I'm like getting at is like my wife goes to bed, and so I'm up watching TV, and it's like, and so I turn the volume up, and then all of a sudden the music starts, and it's like
a bugle.
It's like, holy crud.
Yeah.
I don't.
-12 decibel is.
I don't
where
understand
you want it to
how,
max out
so if you don't watch it when people are trying to sleep in the other room, I don't think you probably understand it. But,
yeah. No, that's true.
So it's hard. So then I end up turning the whole thing down, so I never hear any dialogue because I already have bad hearing already, and so I'm just like, screw that. I just want to watch the elk and see the terrain that the elk are living in and look at stuff like that. But,
no, I think that's awesome. Let's get into elk hunting. Guys are driving to camp.
Yep.
So you YouTubers out there, be careful about your landscapes. Myself, I'm talking to myself as well. Get yourself an editor that is cognizant of that and can push in, add a little blur, things like that. It does help. Well, because we aren't trying to blow up other people's spots.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's really what it does. Because a lot of times, guys are hunting different areas all the time, and so that's not your hunting hole. Most likely, it's somebody else's hunting hole, and that's where that sometimes can screw some things over.
Certainly.
But yeah, let's talk elk hunting. Was 40?
Oh, 40.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 42-ish. So you almost as long as, wow.
But a lot of those years,
they count, Cory.
I know they count because I had a tag, but I wasn't an elk hunter.
You just and damn it, let's talk to those guys who are you. They have an elk tag and they know they're not an elk hunter yet, but we're gonna try to help them get down that road a little faster. Now, I do like the difficulty of elk hunting and that learning curve kind of being steep. Looking back, I'm so glad it took me 5 years of tag soup. And dude, I've already said this on this pod, but like we're talking like you said, time's a killer, bro. I quit jobs and I had all the time, and I still sucked and made every mistake.
So for me, like I started bow hunting as a deer hunter. And that was back in the day when you could drive around the roads and see deer everywhere on the logging roads, and you just get out and try to shoot one, and then I'd buy an elk tag in case I saw one.
Yeah, you may.
It was like I had no idea about elk, and then I remember I think it was my 2nd or 3rd year of hunting, and we were just sitting out on a logging road, and a herd elk came in and started barking, and it was the first time I'd ever heard an elk. and it was
They're
dark.
barking at you?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was dark, and I'm like freaking out, like, what is this noise? And
because
I didn't grow up in a hunting family. I had no idea
that's
about.
funny because thinking about that, Corey, that would be freak anyone out. Like,
Yeah,
you
and
didn't
so
know
I
what
was
that
just like,
sound was?
and they're like, oh, that was an elk, and I'm like, what? They make noises like this, and then the first time the first time hearing an elk bugle was just like, this is insanely cool. I don't remember struggling on a reed of learning how to call for some reason. It was one of those things that I felt like I did pick up very easy.
So, picking up calling was easy, yeah.
As far as making the sounds,
Mm-hmm.
but I was absolutely dumb at when and why I was doing it.
Oh yeah.
And so then
the art.
So then I thought, I really suck, because every time I'd call, I'd watch them all run away, and I'm like, gosh, I suck at this. And so I'm gonna quit calling. Well, I didn't realize that. Yeah, you shouldn't be. If I can see elk, I shouldn't probably be calling at them, because they're not that dumb. They're not super smart, but they're not that dumb to be going, yeah, there's no elk over there.
And there's a sound. I should be able to see.
So I'm going to
it,
run
yeah.
away. So it took me a few years, and I went to as many seminars as I could possibly get.
Oh.
Abe and Son, Glenn Berry, Rocky Jacobson, and I'd go to him multiple times, and I always kind of felt like if I can just pick up something off of each guy,
Yep.
and I look at it as a lure, a tackle box of different things, because
It's your playbook.
if you went around and squeezed a hoochie mama, you're going to kill an elk, but it might be every 7 years, and it might be every 3 years. I don't know. It's just that one thing is going to work on something. It's just how long is it going to take till you find that one thing? And so if I squeeze a hoochie mama and it doesn't work, and then I can throw out, well, let me try this lure. He bit on that one. So having different thoughts and ideas on how to hunt, whether or not spot and stalk, whether or not it's calling, raking, grunts, cow calls, all those different things are all going to work, but you'll end up having your go-to where you feel really comfortable. And so I have usually my go-to stuff. And then when things aren't happening, then I reach way back and I try different scenarios to do.
Let's go elk hunting together right now. Okay. I'm gonna go with you along for the ride. Either you're gonna call for me, or I'm just gonna film you hunting in your. I'm just the guy with the camera.
I'm a caller.
Okay, so you're gonna call. So let's go. Like, what time are we? Where are we camping, Corey? Are we hiking in, or are we camping out of a truck?
We hike in, and we're gonna be anywhere from 3 miles to 6 miles in.
How much gear should I put in my backpack?
Enough for 3 days.
3 days. Do we resupply at the truck?
Yep.
Okay.
So the goal is to kill something in 3 days, or move, or
Love it.
I'm gonna go back and regroup, get more food, come back.
Okay.
If it's that good, I'm coming back in.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay.
So I don't want to carry extra stuff to find out that it sucks in here, and I got to carry it all back out. So I want to stay somewhat mobile. But
That's pretty good. Rule 3 days. Like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I like to do that. I like to have multiple stuff already kind of lined up of areas to go if things aren't working.
Are we camping near a water source?
Yeah, somewhat close.
Okay.
It's always nice to be on water, but you can't hear at night.
Where do you want to be?
And it's cold.
Are we going to be? So we're going to be higher or lower as far as camping?
That if I know the area, like there's some stuff that I've hunted enough to where I know where I can camp and where I can't camp.
You can get away with it versus, hey, you're too close to their sweet spot. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome information.
So
what if you don't know? Like the guys
if
listening,
you don't know, it's just part of the learning curve.
Be safe and sorry.
And honestly, it's not the end of all things, because unless you're a guy who, to me, like I'm not in camp, so we're going to be gone all day.
Okay.
So when we wake up, we're going to be gone.
Are we usually hiking up to a ridge line in the morning to hear and see?
Yep. I want to get to as high of a vantage point to get my calls to carry as much.
Okay.
My go-to spots, I know where all those positions are. I beat feet to them. I don't dilly-dally.
Hustle right to it.
I'm going right to here.
What's your opening sound if we get to the ridge? Are you going to do soft cow calls first just to make sure? Are you going to do a ringing tone?
Usually I'll do a location bugle, a big, long, drawn, high-pitched bugle out.
How long do you wait for?
Kind of depends. A lot of stuff is still by feel because it's like I feel like something should be here, something should be answering, and so I'll wait maybe a little bit longer. I'll do it again, and then at that point, then I will maybe introduce a cow call or something just to see if something
whatever
else.
your gut's telling you. If you're like, would you prefer that I go through my backpack ruffling things in pockets while you're trying to listen for that?
No.
Would you just punch me in the throat?
You'll get mean mugged first, and then what I call them the walkers. So the walkers are going to be here in about 30 minutes. They walk from the bottom and they come all the way in every day.
Damn.
And I'm like, I don't know why you guys are doing this. I want to be there. I don't want to walk an extra 2-3 miles every day in and out for no apparent reason other than to sleep in an RV. I'm not here. It's not a camping trip.
Those
it's not a party.
walkers are just grinding it out every day.
Every
now,
day.
To their point, they do have the wind as they're walking in, right?
No.
Oh.
Not necessarily.
Damn.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. But usually they don't.
Okay.
And so that's, and a lot of it is they don't know what they don't know.
Sure.
So I try.
How do you avoid being that guy? Because these guys are driving to camp. How do you avoid that?
But there's just sometimes you can't because you've hunted enough that you say, I got to get here to there. It doesn't matter at that point what the wind's doing because I got to get there.
Right. We have got to a great place where we could echolocate, listen. Mm-hmm. We get the sound. We both talk. We agree that Bull's here with his herd. And we both talk it out, look at the features, and we kind of use some logic and we guess. At the end of the day, we're guessing they're going to be here. Do we start taking an angle and try to predict that path to intercept, or are we going to just maybe get closer to hear some of those bull talking those cow bugles?
I'm looking at. I got to look at the terrain. What's going to be the easiest way to get there without being seen or really totally blown out with wind situations, and also like if I feel like they're almost ready to get into the timber to bed down, I can slow down. I don't need to rush any of this stuff.
You have more time.
So now, yeah. Because they're not going to go anywhere at that point as long as somebody else doesn't bump it out. But let them get in there, let them get it relaxed. Let me get my wind right. Let me, get them in timber so they can't see me skylined working across an open spot. So those are the type of things. Now, once I get in, what am I going to do for calling sequences? What I like, Joel kind of talks about it as more of a bull calling cows. I like those short kind of bugles. I like raking. Raking, I think, is the only time you can screw it up is when they're watching you rake the tree.
I just want to time out there. Like that is literally, I completely agree. Not that matters, but I have my same notes. Like raking has been one of the most compelling tactics for timbered up elk where it's not open country, where I'm relying on sound and their emotion. I literally have raked a trophy herd bull in because I didn't have a single call with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shit, I'm going to keep raking. That's all I got. And I brought him into 10 yards. And you know what was next to me? My black boxer. I wasn't even hunting, Cory. That's why I didn't have any calls. I'd already killed. And I was like, this bull's bugling. Raked him. I probably brought him in from 500 yards away to 10 yards. And he displayed right in front of my dog and me, all because of just raking.
Yep.
That day, and that happened a long time ago. So ever since that day, it's been like raking gets overlooked. So I'm glad you said that. What else?
And I do calf calls. I don't necessarily like cow calls unless I've reaching way back into the tackle box.
Gotcha.
And I have a scenario that I do on those really tough hung up bulls. Whether or not it works,
do you want to share?
It does
this?
work, yeah.
Okay.
Because I try to. One thing with calling is I try to paint a picture in my brain of what a situation would sound like. Not visually what it would look like, but if
you're telling a story essentially.
Yes. And so I want to be able to tell the story with sound. I agree with other folks who talk about, the women, the cows dictate really what's going on. So if I come in too aggressively as a cow, that's not my pecking order. with this herd, and she says, nope, I'm leaving. She takes the bull, and she doesn't want that competition.
Seen that happen with my own 2 eyes.
So the calf, and if you've been out enough times, you've watched. It's like, man, there's like 3 or 4 calves, and that one cow is like they're like daycare. She's all kind of watching over. That's not her calf, but she's watching over some of these other calves. So
and calves are spazzes, right? Like they'll get lost from the herd so easily.
Easy. Yep.
It's actually, how are there even any elk left?
And it's another call that you can make that sound distressy, like nervous calf sounds that, the bulls don't care, but the cows, that's the big thing. I don't want my cows to push my bull away. So I want those cows to be concerned and stay there and maybe scream at me to get over there or whatever. So if I do any kind of cow calls and stuff, it's calf sounds.
And I wanted to make a note on that just to kind of clarify for the guys listening. Is like calves, you're going to experience this, but like for whatever reason, they'll just bed down randomly and they easily get separated, like almost like daily from the herd just because they're young and dumb. And it's very safe to be a calf because it's pretty common for a calf to be running around.
It's not threatening to anybody in the herd.
Yeah. Okay.
Of you being distressed and being calf cowls and
it's
stuff.
Like par for the course.
Yep. So that's kind of my go-to. Kind of good bulls calling cows, and then I like to rake. If I get something, and I've done it a few times and it's worked. So when I go in, it works when the bull. So if I've got a bull that's bugling to me as I'm bugling back, and we're just kind of, sometimes he bugles and then I bugle first and then he bugles back at me. And if he's bugling to me, I know he's concerned about where I am. So the only thing that he has at this point is his ears to hear where I am. So he wants to know where I am because he can't see me, he can't smell me. So I want to hear you. And so I do the kind of the picture of you asking your son or daughter a question, and they do what? Ignore you. And then what do you say? You say it again, and you say it a little bit louder.
A little louder this time.
And then you still ignore them, and you say it again really, really loud, and you're really pissed because I'm not giving him. He wants to know where I am. He doesn't know what's going on. And so what I do is I try and I wait until I can hear that temperature go. Mm-hmm. And you have to be the caller to do this because otherwise you're going to be doing a lot of movement.
Yeah.
And so at that point is when I will do a cow call and more of an estrus call. And I will scream like a full-blown cow going into estrus. And I'll run around and then I'll just and chuckle and just break and stuff. Like I just silently snuck in and you didn't hear me. And I took her and now I'm pushing her away. And after me screaming at you, where are you? And now this is what I hear what's going on in here.
It's on.
And here he comes.
Yeah, dude.
Stiff-legged. He's ready.
Wait. So I got to slow this down, Cory. Like, you're saying such cool things and you're painting it in a picture that I want to make sure people are getting. Like, Cory is literally thinking about how can I make the sounds that you would hear in real life if this said scenario was taking place. And what you just described to me is literally like one of the biggest annoyances of a herd bull is he's got these pestering, consistent satellite bulls that are honestly just looking for a piece. Mm-hmm. And they don't take breaks, and they have to sneak in. And then, this is like they're trying to hook a cow. They don't want the herd. They just want to get some too. Mm-hmm. So I think if you think of more of an elementary, like take a step back, and don't just make sounds to make sounds, but like tell this story in the woods. I love how you're saying this. I don't know if anyone's ever really articulated this way. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of my go-to after me and this bull have had conversations and I just can't get him to break away and come in. That's my go-to tackle box thing of things to do.
How many-ish elk have you shot with your bow? Of those, how many have been within bedroom, like within 100 yards of their bedroom?
Quite a few.
Would you say the majority of your call-ins are once they're bedded and it's...
Yeah, because the majority of the elk we kill are almost midday, which is typically where, you know,
because you got them cornered basically.
They're in the thing. They don't have anything to do. They're going to eat and sleep. They don't have jobs to go to. They don't have, so there's not really much options.
Their job is to survive.
Yeah. They're not like there's umpteen different things they're going to do. So typically they're going to go bed down. Well, and this is where you hear this a lot, like, oh man, the bull just was bugling and pushed his whole herd out. And it's like, no, he's following the herd. And when he's following the herd, he likes to bugle as he follows his herd. The cows are taking him where they want to be.
Amen. I mean, everything you're saying is
the bull's just going to bugle to follow her. They're going to go, and they're going to go, and they're going to bed.
Yeah.
And like you say, the bull is ready to breed. He is on edge. This is all he thinks about. The cows are thinking about survival. They're thinking about food. They're thinking about sleep. They're thinking about other things because not all of them are in cycle yet. Yep. So he's like, I'm ready. Just show me somebody. So he's antsy and he's following them. When those cows are on their belly, he'll probably bed down too, but he's bedded down for little bits at a time, and he gets up and he walks around and he goes checks a cow and he beds down and he's just on edge. So anytime that you can get in close and then say something to him that close to his bedroom, he's that much more likely to come over and try to punch you in the face because he's not worried about his cows. They're on their belly. They're not going anywhere. Yeah. If they're moving, it's kind of almost pointless to keep trying to call and do stuff because they're going from point A to point B. So first thing in the morning, they're usually always going to be going to a bedding area. So you can, oh man, we had him really going. He was bugling. Yeah, he was bugling and he's walking away because he's following. Just take your time, slow down, let them get where they want to get. Try to keep up with him. Maybe throw out bugles here and there just to keep location if he's not as talkative as we would like. But let him get to somewhere where you feel, and you'll hear him when he beds down. That bugle will get more groany. It's not going to be, he's not on the hoof. He can't get that volume out of him.
Yeah, you should be able to distinguish. He's finally bedded.
So that's kind of my just. The last bull we killed last year was, man, it just worked like to a T. It was so perfect.
Let's hear it.
So we just got, this is all brand new Idaho stuff we'd never hunted before, never set boots on this ground. Went out, a bull bugled, I bugled, he bugled, I bugled, he bugled. I could hear him kind of pacing. He just wouldn't pop out. He was still keeping that 150 yards. And, we only had a little bit of time left, and it was like, okay, it's fine. We know where he's at. He's not super. So we backed out, came back in the morning. We got right up into there. We never made a sound. He bugled. And I'm like, good. Never made a sound at him. We didn't talk to him. We got somewhat closer. He bugled again on his own. Good. We got a little bit closer, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try and get a location. We're getting into the zone. Boom, I let out that location bugle, and I can hear him in the middle of my bugle.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, damn it. And I said, and Abby can't hear. Neither one of us can hear very good, but Abby's even a little bit worse. He's like almost completely.
This was your first bugle, and he's already going over the top of you?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so we both kind of were like, where's he at? And my idea was I just want to get a location, not challenging, not trying to do anything. I just want to get a location. And of course he bugles, and so we can't quite get a good location. I said, okay, let's go down. We go down another 20 yards. I bugle again, then he bugles. I'm like, okay, we got a good location on him. He's right here. So we come down probably another maybe 20 yards, and we get into the timber where it's starting to kind of open up. And I'm like, okay, he's right over there. You should just probably go on down. I'll let you get out 60 yards out in front of me here, and then we'll start the sequence. And Abby literally starts to walk, and that bull just screams. And as soon as he screams, I'm like, that's close. And so I scream right back at him, and I just start raking the tree. Crash, 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 crash. And I stop just for a second. I hear a pop. I'm like, oh, shoot. And I'm looking, and I see him. He's coming straight on at me, and I can see his tines. And Avi doesn't hear
the pop.
He doesn't hear anything. He's like I said, he's legally deaf in the one ear. So if it's coming, and so he has no sense of the hard part for him is he has no sense of direction. It's like if you close one eye, you have no depth perception and seeing. Same thing with an ear. So he can't tell the difference of what direction it came from, and so. Luckily, I was able to just do a little, and he stopped and he looked and I pointed, so he stopped right where he was at, and the bull comes walking, just doot, 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 and I'm thinking, you better shoot him. You better shoot him. You better shoot him. And the bull comes and he gets like 8 yards, and I see his eyes go, what? Punk, and an arrow goes through him. Oh. I was like, oh. I'm like, man, he goes, don't worry. He goes, you weren't in my peep yet. I mean, I was like, 8 yards in front of this bull when this arrow goes zipping through broadside.
Had I talked to you on the phone after this?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Dang,
but it just like it happened so perfect and so fast. Like there wasn't much conversation, but it was just one bugle, two bugles, a raking, and this bull was there.
You were patient. Like the bull gave away his location, and you didn't like get excited to like do a challenge bugle from a ways away.
I love calling, and it is frustrating. And I've grown. I've killed one other elk where I was quiet, and that was like pulling teeth. But it was.
So just how close should you be before you let off that first vocal? Like, I think the temptation of a newer hunter would be to bugle right when you'd heard your first time, but you were wise enough to get closer.
And that's usually a telltale sign for me. Like, if you're going, man, is that a hunter? Most hunters don't have patience.
Fact.
Going back to, if I bugle and it bugles, and I'm like, I'm going to give it some time.
Because a real hunter will just bugle again.
He'll be like, oh, God, make him talk again. Make him talk again. Yeah. And so he'll bugle again.
Agreed.
And the real elk does it. At that point, there's not been anything that he's really concerned or cares about much. So he might not ever bugle until I say something again to him. And this is usually when it's like that 200 yards away where it's like, when you get to the zone, there ain't no fooling. I mean, there's some guys that call really, really good. I mean, really good. But there's nothing about the depth of the sound that you can feel in the chest of a bull when he bugles within like 60 yards and under. I mean, there is no doubt.
It's undeniable
that is a real elk.
Yeah.
But when they're past that, you can't hear the bass or the depth of the chest.
Yeah.
You can hear some, and usually the other part is rhythm. There's a lot of guys, we don't have the best rhythm.
Yeah.
Sounds more like a monkey out there on a chuckle instead of that deep chest. It's like a basketball.
Yeah.
You should be able to kind of at the end instead of it's like it's not a woodpecker. But so that's usually one of those things. Like if I'm in doubt of is this real or not, I really slow down because I know humans are impatient and they want to hear the bull. We all want to hear elk bugle.
Yeah.
And we want to hear him a lot.
Cory, you're getting me all fired up for elk season, which probably as people are listening to this now, that they're there. Circle back to what we talked about kind of in the beginning of the pod, hunting partner. And I know we could do a whole podcast on this, but I talked about like what does a good hunting partner look like, and what does it look like to be a good hunting partner?
Yeah, and that's not only you got to look at yourself because you're somebody else's partner and they're your partner. And I think it's harder to find a good hunting partner than it is to find elk. And that's a fact.
Amen.
You've got to find somebody who morally has the same outlook of why we're out here, because there's a lot of people that just have other distractions in their life, possibly. You've had that guy, I got to go home, my wife's mad, or I got, other obligations. And so finding somebody who truly is there. Like if I tell you I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. It has to be like death in the family, something of why I break what I say I'm going to be. But I like to say during hunting, and this kind of goes back into like the physical fitness thing. I don't think you have to be totally physically fit. You have to be mentally tough. And typically physical fit people do very uncomfortable things. So they're more mentally tough because not everybody wants to lift weights every day. Not everybody wants to go run 10 miles, or not everybody wants to do some of these uncomfortable things. And so they get used to doing uncomfortable things on more occasions. And elk hunting, you're going to get kicked in the face umpteen times. If you and I hunt together, you're probably going to have a down day. My job is not to be the cancer to quit. So when you say, you know what, probably just call it this year, you know, I got things I should go do, blah, blah, blah. I better not be the guy saying, yeah, we should probably go ahead. I should be saying, no, let's go into town. Let's go get some real food. Let's take a break. Let's rethink this. Let's not make some dumb decision to quit. And your job, when I have my bad day, is not allow me to quit. So, and that came true the one year that my hunting partner wasn't even with me on that trip. And like, I felt like my feet were in like quicksand. Like I couldn't even pick my feet up. I was so exhausted and tired and burnt out and depressed. I just missed a bull. And I texted him. I said, Don, coming home. He's like, cool, you killed one? I said, nope, coming home. Phone rings. He says, what do you mean you're coming home? I said, dude, I'm freaking wiped out, tired, just missed a bull. I'm done. I'm coming home. He says, no, you're not. He says, pack your stuff up, go find a new area and hunt. Went down, broke camp. We drove to a brand new spot, and I don't know what it was. It was just the simplest thing is seeing new terrain. I wasn't tired. I wasn't discouraged. It was new. I was excited. Hiked in 3 miles, pounding the tent stakes, boom, a bull bugles. I'm like, really? Go up, he bugles, we bugle, I shoot a bull. One of my best bulls.
No kidding.
Literally the next day after that phone call of saying you're not quitting.
Guys, this is my friend Cory Miller. He's a stud. Check him out. He's with Black Eagle and Darton Archery and
Conquest
Stabilizers. And he's just a hardworking, do-it-yourself public land elk hunter. Separations in the preparation. Enjoy that September, guys. It's finite. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Do not squander a second. Stay on your grind and keep your head up, because 5 seconds is all it takes to change the rest of your season. Good luck. We'll catch you at the next one.